in the end, it's all about the value that you bring for your client, especially when you do consultative work like us. If you can't bring the value, then you're gonna have a conflict at one point, and you can only bring value, I feel, for people that you like, that you believe in, that you have a connection with. Try to convince someone you don't like. If I don't know, if you know someone you don't like, try to convince them to do something. They will never listen to you anyway. So it needs to be all aligned, and that's what I really like. So it's very cliche, but that's when they say it becomes more than work. It's true. Like it becomes a bit of a passion, and you see people, you really see the impact that you're having, and that's really cool. Also.
We are back for another episode of Hospitable. My name is Rob Napoli. I'm your host, and I'm here today with our guest, Ruben Westmeijer. Getting close, the Dutch pronunciations. And Ruben has been working in partnerships and indirect sales for over 10 years. He is the CRO and co-founder of Bond Agency, which is an experienced team that combines direct and indirect channel partnerships and sales and content creation and marketing. And Ruben and I were just talking pre-show. In my previous life, I ran a growth agency as well. So it's near and dear to my heart. And I thought it'd be kind of fun, Ruben, to talk a little bit about trends as we head into 2024 on content, on channel, on sales. What should we be looking for, and how brands need to align themselves in the market for 2024 as the market continues to move and change, so that brands can be relevant, especially when we look at the hospitality space. You have large, big brands with big budgets like Marriott and IHG, and then you have so many independent hoteliers and boutiques and things like that. So how do they become aware as a brand? How do they attract new audiences, new people to come and visit the hotel? So I figured that's where we can start today. Yeah. But Ruben, why don't you let the listeners know a little bit about your background and how you came to co-found Bond Agency?
Yeah, for sure. So I studied tourism management when I was a long time ago, when I was young still, and then so I always had a love for travel and hospitality. Started working there, but found my sweet spot really in creating relationships, and then particularly B2B. I love B2B, and the things with partnerships and channel sales and all of these things, which I really really like to do, is that it's sales, but it's not direct sales. So you have this momentum that you build, that you create a relationship over time, and then you're compounding basically the results of that over the year on the longer term. And that's something really interesting for me. It's a long-term strategy, so you're in it for the long term. And I was doing this for different type of companies. First in tourism, then in hospitality, then in hospitality tech. After the pandemic, the whole hospitality world got upside down. So there was actually a perfect opportunity for me and my current fiance to start Bond Agency, where we are helping hospitality tech companies specifically to grow through partnerships, but also through branding and helping them. So the growth agency is really like growth in the broadest sense of the word.
Amazing. So you started in tourism, and then you got into the sales world, and as you kind of looking at these things, building relationships. When you were thinking about getting into, working at different companies, starting your own thing, what led you to want to be an entrepreneur and really say, let's go? Because in your past, you've worked as head of channel sales in the hospitality space. You've been a partnership manager in the hotelier space. Like, what led you to say finally, like, you know what, I want to step away from working in an organization and step into starting something on my own?
Well, it all starts with an idea. I think like I have been thinking about doing my own business on my own before, but I just didn't have the right idea and the right circumstances. And there was always like a better offer in terms of growth and in terms of development and developing myself and my skills within an organization. And now it was just the time. I was ready for it. I felt it. I had the great idea. I knew it was going to work. I had the network. I had a bit of a time pressure also. I really had to make it work within like within 3 months, I really had to sign my first client. Otherwise, I would have been like in a bit of a financial hassle. So it was like all the elements that were there, and then I was like, okay, let's do it. And
Yeah.
you know, in I think in 1.5 months, we signed our first client, and they really helped us, and it's amazing to get that feeling and that confidence of people like, okay, I'm going to pay you to do this. And that's when I really got hooked. I was like, okay, I'm never going to go back to work for a boss again, hopefully.
Well, one could say you do kind of work for a boss that you co-founded
Yeah,
with your current. Yeah, I love how you said my current fiance
yeah.
earlier. I don't know if that's the current or if that's the forever.
Well, hopefully she will be my wife at one point.
No, it's funny because I was actually talking to somebody the other day about, it starts out, how your title of your partner changes, and like, remembering to say, hey, change with
Yeah,
that as you talk about it. And also in business sense, right? Like starting a business with your significant other and your partner can be amazing, but also quite a challenge
yeah,
as you are building both professional and personal together alongside each other. But it's super cool to see how this evolution happens when you think about working in channel sales and having worked for some of the brands that you've worked for in the past, really launching into this new world. What were some of the things that you learned about being, head of channel sales and working in the space, just working in that space into, what you're doing today, running your own business, and how has that shaped maybe your business strategy?
yeah, like, a lot, like, but it also is because our business is channel sales and partnership. So that's really what we help our clients to understand and to successfully implement and execute. So I think everything I'm doing today, I learned within the different companies I was doing channel sales or partnerships before, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. I wasn't always aware of that, doing it back then. But now I can see that I really, developed myself, and also with the help of everybody who was my manager, who was my boss, who helped me, yeah, create better skills in that sense in channel sales and partnerships. Yeah, they made me who I am today, and that really, I do business also as I do partnerships. So I do a lot of things on trust, on my gut feeling. I want to have clients that I feel comfortable with, and that I have an aligned vision as well, because in the end it's all about the value that you bring for your client, especially when you do consultative work like us. If you can't bring the value, then you're going to have a conflict at one point. And you can only bring value, I feel, for people that you like, that you believe in, that you have a connection with. Try to
Mhm.
convince someone you don't like. If I don't know, if you know someone you don't like, try to convince them to do something. They will never listen to you anyway. So it needs to be all aligned, and that's what I really like. So it's very cliche, but that's when they say it becomes more than work. It's true. Like, it becomes
Mhm.
a bit of a passion, and you see people, you really see the impact that you're having, and that's really cool also.
Yeah. I love that. And let's get into the growth marketing side of things, right? The growth outbound. So we talk about some of the trends for, 2024. And one that I think is very interesting is I think it was 2019, 2020, there's about 34% of B2B marketers were using influencers. But as of today, as we head into 2024, 85% of companies are using B2B, are using influencers in the B2B space, right? And I think there's a large number of people that believe influencer marketing is a strategy worth investing in. How have you seen that kind of with what you're doing with your clients and working on channel sales and different things? Is influencer marketing something you are talking about? How have you seen that as a trend as we head into 2024?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a trend, but we always have to fight against the image of the influencer, right? So it's when we speak about influencers, we think about the guy or girl sitting on the beach drinking and promoting brands on Instagram. Well, actually, like, the influencer marketing or the influencer growth strategy, it's so important, and it has been going on for so many years, but it's changing. So we
Mhm.
can see that there's actually a really cool like company. They are basically creating this new concept called Nearbound. I'm not sure if you heard about
Mhm.
this, But you basically have inbound, outbound, and nearbound, and that's basically activating your your circle of people that you know and that your client knows, to start pushing your product. And this is super interesting approach, because there are actually so many people that your client, your future clients, that they are already in touch with, and if you know how to reach them, they can influence their clients, your future client, just because they already have this relationship. So if you know
Mhm.
how to leverage that, if you know where to find these people, and if you bring the value towards them as well, then you got a really killer strategy, because it means that you don't have to do so much annoying outbound sales. You don't have to pester your future clients with calls, with emails and stuff. Like, nobody wants to receive that anyway. I'm not saying it doesn't work, because I really believe in the outbound strategy for sure. But I think the nearbound strategy, or the partnership strategy, it's a really effective way of growing. And I just want to say one thing as well, because I think partnerships is also evolving into this thing, because partnerships has been, either integration partners, it's either your referral partners, it's a reseller network that you've built up, on the course of years. Well, actually, now everything is coming together, and it's not just one type of partner anymore. Like, the partner
Yeah.
program is really evolving into a network and an ecosystem of different people, solutions, companies that will help you to grow.
Yeah. And I find it interesting because, especially this Nearbound, and I want to get into this a little bit more because, and I do agree with the influencer, right? The word influencer has a negative connotation now. And you see a lot of brands using brand evangelists, right?
Yeah,
And that's because, and it's built because of the partner network. And I think this ties into that whole Nearbound strategy of outbound is great, and I'll still propose that every company should do outbound to a
yeah,
degree, especially young companies, right? And the fact that you still need to get eyeballs into the network in some way, shape, or form. But outbound, where to direct outbound is not a 15-minute call or 20-minute demo, right? It's where
yeah,
do you want the eyeballs to come in to see and connect as a lead, whether that's connected to a certain content piece, whether it's a lead capture, whether that's watching a video, right? It's taking eyeballs into driving eyeballs directly where you want it to be to understand what you do and how you do it better to
yeah,
get into your network, i.e., into your LinkedIn, so they can see what you're posting. And over time, when the timing is right, actually want to potentially work with you or buy from you or partner with you. This is where
yeah,
that nearbound strategy becomes so tight. If you can bring on certain key partners in your network and utilize them properly and have them help you amplify messaging, opens up so many doors in a way that you don't actually realize because most of us as humans, we scroll on our phones all the time, right? We're lurkers. We purposefully lurk on content and not activate it, not do anything with it until the time is right, until I have to buy something. Then I'm looking through who do I know, right? And so I
yeah,
love this idea of Nearbound and how to leverage it. And I think that's really cool. That's something that y'all are uh, highly targeting and partner networks. And so as you work with clients and we think about the space, how do you build a partner network? How do you go out and put together meaningful relationships with partners, whether it's resellers, integrators, etc.?
yeah. Well, it's all about value. So, you have to align yourself. So there are a few key things that you need to do before you start any relationship. First of all, you need to manage your expectations. So you need to know what you're getting into, you as the one who wants to start the partnership, but also the partner, obviously. And it just needs to be clear, what do you expect from your partner? Like, I think too many companies, they make the mistake of being like too vague, and they don't want to be too pushy at the start. Like, okay, maybe we can start like this or like that, and we don't expect too much from you. But no, like, as a partner, you want to know, okay, am I expected to deliver 50 leads, or per year or per month? Like, these things have to be really clear from the start. And if you get those expectations right, then what you really need to think about is, what is my value for my partner? And so we work with a lot of tech companies, and obviously the value proposition for their clients, they nailed it. They have agencies working on that. They spend a lot of money in crafting those beautiful one-liners, to make sure that the value is clear in one instant. But then when they start working with partners, they totally forget about this. They think that this is the same value for partners, which is totally wrong. If you want to bring value for your partners, it means, okay, we can actually help you accelerate the growth of your company by
Yeah.
promoting our product. we can increase the impact of your services by adding a technology or a functionality that you didn't have before. Like there's so many different values that you can think of, but you have to specify it to the partner that you're working with. And that's what a lot of companies do forget. And this is what we help them with, actually, to make sure that they take that our clients take those first steps, and define that, think about that, also think about a partner profile. What is the type of partner that you want to work with? Hopefully this is going to be a long-term relationship that you will start to build. So better find partners that you feel comfortable with, that you like, that you can have a drink with, that you can have a laugh with, and feel comfortable. So that partner profile, not in terms of, okay, they are in this market and they are serving this type of clients, but also, okay, what is their vision? How do they see hospitality? What do they think of tech?
Mhm.
What is their experience? Like, talk with them first as a human, and as someone that you want to get to know, before you think about, okay, this is someone I can partner with.
Yeah. I think that's really important because understanding where value creation is huge. And so many, it's really easy to see fake perceived value, but what is actual value? Like, what can we actually do together? What are the things that we can collaborate on and where that actually drives forward? And understanding partner profile and true value is huge. And
Yeah,
it's something that I think a lot of companies don't do well because you get really excited about potential opportunity and it's single focus on this one opportunity versus
yeah,
long term value in conversation and partners. So I love that. I'm also just thinking about your background into how you got to where you are today. You've been able to travel a lot and be around the world in different parts of your career and your life. How has traveling um, affected or helped you grow as an entrepreneur? How has that opened your eyes to the work that you're doing today? And do you think that travel has a huge impact on how we view creating valuable partnerships globally?
yeah, for sure. What I love is to work with people from different backgrounds and cultures, and this is something. This is also the reason why I studied and started working in tourism. Like I was so excited about just travel the world and be with, like, working with people from different backgrounds, and just have different influences also on me and my daily life. And so I'm from the Netherlands originally, and I used to live there until I was 30, 31. And then I really got like this bug, and I said, okay, I need to get out of here. And luckily, the company I used to work for back then was Muse. They had like a position in their London office, so I could go there and build my partnership team. And I was like, yeah, man, this is what I've been missing. I just want to, like, not even only travel, but also live in a place which is completely different as my hometown. And to have all these experiences from, yeah, meeting these different people and working in international teams, and just starting to notice cultural differences, even if it's like, the English compared to French, or the Dutch compared to Belgian. There are these tiny differences that you already notice, and that's what I
Yeah.
think is really cool, because every time you have a different type of strategy, and, oh yeah, I'm going to speak with a Belgian, so I have to be a bit more patient and stuff like that. And okay, I'm going to speak with a Dutch guy, now I can be super direct and quick. So yeah, those I think that's the most important thing for me. Traveling, visiting places in the world. Yeah, the people, and their culture and the way of doing things. It's super interesting to get to know.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and obviously for those that listen to the podcast, you probably have heard of a company called Muse, and we got I had the opportunity to interview Richard Walter in
Yeah, I
your
saw that
city.
one. It was cool.
Um, yeah, so it's kind of fun, knowing that having had that opportunity to go and grow with an organization really opens up your eyes, and it's something that I moved from the Midwest to Italy to New York and the places in between. So getting to see, I totally feel you when you talk about those cultural differences and understanding. And I think when you're building partnerships and you're looking at creating true value, understanding those differences and understanding how and what value means to different people opens up so many doors. So that's super super cool and exciting.
Yeah,
There's a big conversation that happens in business right now around AI, right? And using
yeah.
generative AI to replace things. How have you leveraged AI or seen AI or talked about AI with potential partners as you're, being a growth agency, right? I'm sure this is something that gets discussed a lot. What are some of the things that you're hearing, seeing, and doing with AI tools?
Yeah, and of course they're using it. Like I think everybody uses ChatGPT just to test things. And I had this one thing that I wanted to like create like a pitch deck, for our company for investors. Totally like not real, but I just wanted to see how that worked in ChatGPT, and yeah, it was amazing. You put your input there, and what it puts out, it's really eye opening, and you're like, wow, it's so quick. So I think the future for in terms of AI is like, if you master AI and you know how to work with it, it will not be a threat to your work. You just have to be one of those really skilled people, and preferably like one of the first people who really know how to use AI and make it make it add value to your work, like make it better, so that the services and the output of your work actually becomes much better as it was before. And if you know how to do that, then you won't be replaced. It's I always like compare it a little bit with an artist. Of course, you can create art through AI, but if you yeah, the artist is the soul. Why they do it. So if you still have that also as a consultant or whatever, like it doesn't matter what your job is, but if you're really passionate about it and you use the tools to create a better output, then you'll be always on the winning side, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think AI is going to help us in a lot of ways. It can definitely reduce some things off our plate, but I don't think it's ever going to take over fully. And I think as we look at it from how you just said, like leveraging those tools to work for you and work with you, if you could do that, it changes the game. And I see a lot of people using generative AI to respond to LinkedIn requests and to use it as part of their outbound strategy. And it's like, great, pull that back a little bit, because you can tell when it's like fake body
yeah,
stock fluffy answers. Like if you ever put anything into ChatGPT, um, while you get really great information, if you ask it to write something for you, it's really fluffy. It's a lot of
yeah,
very big action verbs. Like you have to make it human, because sometimes it doesn't come across as human. And so I
yeah,
think there's still a lot to be learned, but I think if you're going to utilize it and building your brand and reaching out and connecting, to make sure to take a second to spot check it and make it
yeah.
human.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
actually, it ties in also a bit with what you asked earlier. Like, the type of clients that we like to work with. It's also the people who appreciate that. Who appreciate the fact that we put in our experience and our knowledge and our human side. But of course, we can use AI to create things and to be quicker and to be more efficient, for sure. But I just want to work with companies that appreciate the that part as well. That and of course, you will have companies going if they want to do a new branding, for example, or a new website or whatever, or they need to design a new logo, they will use AI themselves. Okay, that's fine. It's there, and if you think that that's a really good work, then you should definitely do it. But I know for sure that there are a lot of companies out there who still appreciate the extra layer of professionalism and stuff that is being used before you use AI, by companies who've actually done, or people who have done it for many many years and who have done different things and have the experience actually to pull it off. So I hope that there will be enough companies in the future as well to keep appreciating that, and to just make sure that that experience is being used, and that professionalism, and that expertise.
Yeah, I love that. So if we look at 2024, what is the one kind of trend that you're excited about, or what is one thing that you're looking forward to, like learning or doing in 2024?
But yeah, I think it has to do with AI still. But what I'm really curious to see is if there are companies out there, tech companies that have been working and building their own AI technology, right? So they have been doing this for many many years, actually, like with machine learning, and they come now to a point where their AI is really really good. And then you have obviously a lot of tech companies that use the APIs of like OpenAPI or OpenAI, and like pre-built solutions, and use those engines. And I'm really curious to see where it goes. If like these companies who've actually been building their own AI technology, if they would be able to, start selling or like implementing their technology into existing solutions, where the output of their AI will be, if it's going to be much better as compared to the standard solutions like OpenAI and stuff. And I'm just curious to see that battle where it's going, and if these companies also realize that they actually sitting on something really valuable, which is this custom made AI tool with machine learning and very specialized. I saw an amazing tool lately where they do AI on reviews basically, so you can
Mhm.
answer using that, and it was so cool because you could like customize it totally to your tone of voice. It would recognize a lot of like recurring issues but would respond every time in a different way, and like it was so customizable. And I thought like, yeah, I don't think you can get that you can get to that level with these standard solutions. So yeah, I'm really curious about that, like to see a bit the battle of AI, basically standardized
Mhm.
against custom made.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see what happens, and that's definitely a fun trend to look to. I think for me, one of the things that I'm really interested in next year, AI is a big topic, and we're looking at how to do some cool stuff with AI ourselves internally here at Omniboost. Um,
Yeah,
but with events are coming back in a big way, right? For a while, events shut down. There's a lot of conversation about there's not as much value in events and things like that. But I think what you're seeing is that events will continue to be super big next year. The fact that more targeted, less these big, huge events where it's just like craziness, and really thinking about what are more focused events, and to see what the industry and what industries will do with kind of events, and curating really highly valuable. We talked a lot about value this episode, really highly valuable events, and how to leverage kind of being in person and utilizing those in person moments to
yeah,
drive the fact that we can have global connections and Zoom calls and do business globally. So, how do we leverage those in person experiences to create meaningful, deep relationships that drive bigger long term value? I'm really excited to see how that plays itself out, because everyone thinks about the big, the big events like our web summits and collisions and
yeah,
slush, but seeing all those kind of like more targeted middle sized events, and see how that's going to be leveraged next year
yeah,
by really cool companies.
yeah, yeah. And I think one more thing. What I hope will be a trend actually next year is that like the leverage of data, and especially like hotels, like hoteliers, they have so much data actually at their fingertips. But with the amount of like technology solutions out there, and like the I wouldn't say siloed, but because like most of the like are integrated, most of the solutions. However, still, like it's not always clear where to find what data, and really like how to make it really actionable. And I think
Yeah.
that's still a thing that a lot of people, like a lot of hoteliers, they move to a new cloud-based PMS, and they think, okay, now we have all this data sitting here, we can do so many things about it. But then actually they are not really utilizing it, because it's still very static data that they, for sure, maybe they do a weekly report or whatever. But I think that it's going to be really cool to see certain solutions coming on the market where, first of all, you can really manage that data in a very fluid way. So it's always like up to date. You capture all these different points along the whole customer journey or the guest journey. But then how can you use that data, and how can you like really put that to use for you as a hotelier to make sure that you provide a better experience, you make them come again and stuff like that. And I think there are now some of the solutions coming out there, but yeah, we need to get rid of that static data still, because it's still really static, I feel.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. That's why I bring up, kind of AI, the events. We look at next year, like
Yeah,
there's a lot of companies sitting on static data, and there's a lot of companies that make changes based on data, but don't realize how to leverage it. And it's
yeah,
really interesting. That's obviously what Omnibus does, is we help people leverage data. We help data unification. And it's really interesting that you make that point, is that so many companies also have a lot of data that they just never use. And it
yeah,
sits there and they don't understand how to leverage that data. And so that is something that for next year, I think companies really need to know and understand how to best utilize data to create value. and
Yeah.
what you're sitting on and what you have. It's not always like we don't always need to chase the next thing. It's sitting back and looking at what do we have and how do we leverage. And that's something that will be really interesting to see what companies step up next year. Especially hoteliers, we think about these hoteliers, they want to grow and they want to create and they want to have more people there, utilizing this data to really attract that ideal customer, getting people in, more pictures, more things, and getting that brand awareness really
Yeah.
shared out to the world.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be really interesting to see that. And yeah, data, you need to use it. And I would advise any hotel company basically also like hire a data geek, like hire someone who loves it, who goes through all of your data that you actually have and just find super creative ways and find new KPIs and like, and say, did you know that we can actually see this? And then, let them blow your mind, because sometimes you do things a certain way for a few years, or even when you just change, okay, we set up some weekly reports, and then you're going to look at those reports every week and it's the same kind of information. It's never going to really add any benefits or any value to how you are operating your hotel, and how you are adding value to your guest. And sometimes just an extra set of eyes from someone that you don't expect it, and who goes in there and just creates these new KPIs and blows your mind. Like, I didn't even know we had that. We couldn't make those conclusions with the data that we have, and you can. Like, there's so much data in any PMS. There's so much data, so start utilizing it for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Start utilizing data. Most companies fail to utilize the right data. I think that is a great point to end on. Ruben,
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on the podcast and chopping it up. Where can our listeners find you? How do they get in touch with you? How do they learn more about Bond Agency?
Yeah, so we have a website, obviously, bondagency.ai, .ai.io. Okay, scratch. We have a website, bondagency.io. You can find everything that we do there, our services, but also a bit more information about us. And if you want to send us an email, hi@bondagency.io. So perfect. That's where we can be found.
Awesome. I'll make sure to have that linked into the show notes. So you just got to
Yeah,
click it.
nice.
Get in touch. Ruben, looking forward to seeing continued growth and hopefully seeing you next year when I swing through over to Lisbon and grab a beer
Yeah.
with you in person. But I appreciate you jumping on. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday season and talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Rob. And have a good holiday too. And that beer stands. It's a deal in Lisbon.
Love it, love it, love it. Also, the listeners, thank you so much. Be a tier one, do all the things like subscribe, rate, review, all those things help grow the podcast. Let us know if there's anything you would love to talk about, guests that you think should be on the show, so on and so forth. Until then, we'll see you next time. Ciao.
Ciao.